Here we go. This is Mayor Shave, and it is Wednesday, July 14th, 2021 at 7:56 p.m. And I call the Aberdeen City Council meeting to order. Public comments and public hearing comments are included during the Zoom video meetings. The public was notified that if they wish to speak during the meeting, an email be sent to Patricia Soul, City Clerk, and indicate if they would like to speak or have the clerk read the comment. If they desire to comment live, they will be called on during the meeting and allowed to speak for 3 minutes. Written comments provided before the meeting have been provided to the City Council members and will be read into the record up to the current 3-minute time limit. City Clerk Soul, will you take a roll call, please?
Yes, Mayor. Councilmember Andrews.
Here.
Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, here.
Councilmember Francie.
Here.
Councilmember Gordon.
He was.
Councilmember Gordon, I see you.
You're muted, Frank.
Here. Thank you. Here.
Councilmember, thank you. Councilmember Cashman.
Here.
Councilmember Mackey.
Here.
Councilmember Meskis.
Present.
Councilmember Richrod.
Here.
Councilmember Ross.
Here.
Councilmember Shaw.
Here.
Councilmember Short.
Here.
Councilmember Taylor.
Here.
Mayor Shave.
Here,
All present.
thank you.
Mayor Shave,
Council President Shaw.
I would move for adoption of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Are there any additions or deletions to the meeting? Councilmember Meskis.
I don't know that I have an addition per se, but I wanted to bring back if finance had been able to look into the issue we tabled at the last meeting and provide information on the position that we budgeted, and if those items wanted to be brought back to the table. This is the only place I could think of to bring it back up.
Is it okay to provide an update? I'll just go ahead and say
Yeah.
that
Go for it.
it did not come up tonight during finance. I don't know if Director Stoll had anything additional to add, but as far as I know, it's on the table pending somebody pulling it off right now.
I can just add that we are now open at lunch. We started being open at lunch on the 12th, and we're open till 5. So that's City Hall. We didn't intend to bring it back. So.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing none. Moving on to public comments. Were there any public comments?
Just a few.
Yes, Mayor, we have 7. So, yep. Let me start by reading the in order of receipt. Okay, so we have a comment from Paul Leach, and it goes, I would like my comments read during the Aberdeen City Council. This is in regards to Liz Ellis's statement on June 9th, 2021 about the protesters at the Needle Exchange. Being one of the protesters that is actually present, I can say without hesitation that everything she said about the protester is a complete fabrication. She, to the best of my knowledge, has never been present to confirm any of these accusations. If she were, she would know that we do not harass anyone or open to civil discussions. Secondly, the people that show up are not here for help. There for help. They are there for enablement. Handing out free needles and other paraphernalia in front of a methadone clinic where people really do go for help and are trying to get help is just asinine. It should also be pointed out that the sheer number of needles found all over our streets is proof that this is not one for one exchange. In addition to the fact that a single person can show up and leave with literally thousands of needles. Her statement does not simply border on defamation. It is the fact of defamation of character and should not be taken lightly. Holding that position on city council, she is even more liable for these actions than a normal citizen. And I quote, in parentheses, actual malice parenthesis, means that the person who made the statement knew it was not true or did not care whether it was true or not and was reckless with the truth. Parenthesis. She did nothing to check the facts and relied solely on Facebook posts. In parentheses, I recognize vernacular and the way it has been presented by others, parentheses, for people that vehemently attack us every chance that they get. The only truth that she spoke was that police showed up. They did indeed. They told us that we were doing absolutely nothing wrong and have a wonderful day. If anyone is sapping valuable police time, it is Willapa BHC and Chehalis River Mutual Aid Network. I heartily agree that they should stop wasting our officers' time with their dramatic stunts designed to try to make us look bad. And maybe she can answer this for me. Quote, why is our kids' lives not worth anything when they find these little biohazards at the park or in their own front yard versus the people that willingly and knowingly do this to themselves? Enablement does not support recovery, it sabotages recovery. These actions are inexcusable and completely without merit, and something needs to be done. We are exercising our First Amendment right. We are also not the one blasting music on a loop of F *** K Donald Trump in the middle of town, as they have been known to do and have posted videos of themselves doing. You want to see immaturity and harassment, look no further than across the street from us. Second, public records request, or public comment, sorry. This is from Jill, W-A-R-N-E, Warren. Hello, Aberdeen Mayor and City Council. In case you aren't aware, I'm attaching some concerning photos that have been sent to me. The first page is from recently on 2 different days of the free beer in front of the syringe handout in Aberdeen. The second page photos are the back of an SUV that came into the WBH syringe program and picked up 7,500 syringes a month ago or so, and another very large stack of syringes being delivered to another vehicle. The third page has photos of the amount of dirty needles one of our concerned citizens picks up on a weekly basis. There is no requirement by WBH to bring dirty needles to get clean ones. I will not call it an exchange because that is complete misrepresentation. I get the argument that the syringe program is supposed to be harm reduction, but I fail to see how doing this is doing anything but encouraging bad behavior, enabling the addict and supplementing the illegal drug industry. There's only one reason I can think of that someone would want to pick up that many free syringes, and that is that they are providing them, probably in trade for drugs, to their dealers who are using the free syringes with taxpayers pay for and preloading them with their illegal drugs and selling the syringes ready to inject. We are supporting the drug industry. Explanation point. Currently, the dirty needles have no street value because they don't need them to get clean needles. I will continue to push this activity to be brought in line with the one-for-one exchange. It's very frustrating that we are kept just letting this harmful practice continue. When Selena Meacham from Willapa Behavioral Health spoke to the commissioners about running the program, she indicated that they would be trying to limit the number of syringes handed out, and they would be doing dirty needle litter patrol, etc. I don't believe that that has happened at all. There was also discussions about requiring the syringes being handed out to be labeled by them so they could not disown them when confronted. That has not happened. Another thing that seems just wrong is the location. Having needle handout in the parking lot of a treatment facility for addicts that are trying to get clean is like setting up an ice cream stand in the parking lot of a Weight Watchers. Add the free beer to that equation and it's another jab the addict that has legitimately tried to get their life back. Our focus should be on actually helping the addicts get clean, offer them treatment options, and encouraging them to try to do better, not pushing the harmful addiction lifestyle. Ultimately, there are only 2 options for the addict: get clean or die. Let's focus on the get clean. I'm asking the city of Aberdeen consider adopting an ordinance that prohibits the mass amounts of syringes that are handed out by limiting them to something reasonable. At this point, any restriction would be better than what they're doing currently. Ideally, I believe it should be 1-for-1, but I will concede that there may be a need for a small amount of extra allowed, but not extreme amounts that are currently being pushed out there. Limiting the amount of syringes and requiring them to be labeled, I believe would have a huge impact on keeping our parks, streets, sidewalks, and pathways safe from dirty needles. I know that WVH's location doesn't have to be fixed, so I propose to enact county ordinance as well, so we don't have to worry about them just moving outside of city jurisdiction to avoid the ordinance. Thank you for reading this, and I look forward to working together to find a way to fix problems in Aberdeen and our county. Respectfully, Jill Warren, Grays Harbor County Commissioner, District 1. The next one is from Annette Berry. Hello, I would like this comment to be read into the record and act that it be referred to the Public Safety Committee at the upcoming July 18th council meeting. We are James and Annette Berry, and we live at Aberdeen in Ward 4. We are retired and have resided in Aberdeen 2 years and are very happy in Aberdeen. Our concern, what we never anticipated are the weeks of fireworks being set off in the city limits surrounding July 4th and New Year's Eve. We have lived in large and small cities in many states over our lives and have never have we experienced a level of professional firework usage and disregard for the laws over the usage of fireworks as we have in Aberdeen. Fireworks are discharged well before and after the actual holiday when they can be legally discharged. On July 4th, the noise was so loud from neighborhood fireworks with our windows and doors closed, we cannot have a normal conversation in our home. They are still going off at 1:15 a.m. and all this while we are under a burn ban. As with the threat of tsunami, it is not if, but when the disaster will strike. We've already witnessed neighbors screaming at each other over the usage of fireworks. The stress and anxiety of pets, veterans, wildlife, and those sensitive to noise and stench of fireworks are well documented. Fires can start and spread, or fingers can get blown off, and we can present such disasters with personal use firework ban within the city limits. If the city also spends money for a fireworks show, that would be acceptable if there was a ban on personal fireworks. But as it stands now, why waste those funds when the city is already under siege by exploding fireworks in every neighborhood? If a business sponsors a fireworks show, their efforts may be more appreciated if it is not being overshadowed by personal fireworks. Solution, as many cities have already done, Aberdeen should place and enforce a ban on personal fireworks within the city limits. Of course, we are aware this may not stop all fireworks usage. There are those who will always put their personal fun above the law, but it will help curtail the obnoxious explosive noise in our city. That has been proven in other cities. A ban can bring noise down to a livable level. Aberdeen needs to take initiative to institute personal fireworks ban within the city limits. Many of the issues our city face are complicated, multifaceted problems that will, in all actuality, never be resolved. However, a personal fireworks ban can be the beginning of a solution to this outlandish noise problem and show that Aberdeen is concerned for all of its citizens' safety. Thank you, James L. and Margaret Annette Berry, 808 North L Street, Ward 4, Aberdeen. Number 4, we have Patrick Carey on the call, and he would like to do his own personal comment. So I am allowing him to talk at this point. Patrick, you are on to be able to talk. You just need to unmute yourself, and it's limited to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me? All right. My name is Patrick Carey. I live in Ward 5. I'm a resident of Tassel and am a member of the homeless community in our fine city of Aberdeen. I wanted to comment today in an attempt to kind of reach an olive branch out. In fact, to remind people that really when we look at it, we're all on the same team here. We're all residents of Aberdeen, and deep down, we want the same thing. We want a better life for everyone in Aberdeen, everybody. And I've spoken at city council meetings before, back when we were having them in person, and I will be the first to tell you that the homeless population of Aberdeen is a lot at fault here. We need to do more to clean our own face, and we need to do more to treat Aberdeen better, the city of Aberdeen, and treat the people in Aberdeen better. I want everyone to know that really we're working towards the same goal. I was hoping that we could, get together at some point, me, a couple other people, anyone else, really anyone that's interested in having a sit down adult conversation about coming up with some solutions. I think that is one of the bigger problems that we have is a lot of people spend a lot of time looking at the problems and not looking at the solutions. I think that if we did that, then we could actually make some significant progress instead of just putting a Band-Aid on things and trying to deal with some of the underlying causes and have a more permanent solution. And, having a permanent solution is always going to be more cost effective than trying to just deal with the symptoms of this thing that's never going to go away, as it comes. So generally speaking, I want to just put it out there that we're up to listening and, up to talking. me speaking for myself and the other residents at Tassel, and for the most part, a large percentage of the homeless population, is really, we want what you want. We want, Aberdeen is home to all of us. And a lot of us need to do a better job of taking better care of our home. The homeless people is who I'm referring to in this particular instance. And I think that there are some people in Aberdeen that could probably do a better job of being kinder to the people that live in the same home with them. That home being the city of Aberdeen. I think that if we're all adults and if we could put our heads together, we could probably come up with something that's far better than what we've been doing now. I know it's easy to get caught up in being angry at the way the problems are. And there are a lot of problems that need to go. And it's a lot of pointing fingers and blame and a lot of us versus them mentality. And that's just not the way it should be, because we all want the same thing. We're all Team Aberdeen here, and we want the best for everybody. And so, there has to be a better way, because the way things have been going, whatever steps that we're taking, they're obviously not working. And like I said, I am more than willing to accept my fair share of the blame on all this. And when I say I mean the homeless population in general. Yeah, we can do a lot better, and we want to do a lot better, but we want to be able to talk it through it, with the city council or the powers that be in Aberdeen, to try and come up with something where we're all on the same page here and all working towards the same goal, instead of two sides trying to fight each other, because that's not how you make good progress. Anyways, I appreciate your time. Thank you for your consideration. And I'm sure that we'll all be able to get through this at some point and have a better life for everyone. If anyone's interested in talking with me about it, or any member of the homeless in Aberdeen, my number is 360-580-9515. 9515. So I look forward to hearing from anyone that's interested. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next person that would like to speak is Tom Quigg. I have unmuted you, or I've allowed you to talk. Could you unmute yourself and limit your comments to 3 minutes? Thank you.
Hello, thanks for giving me the opportunity. I'm Commissioner Tom Quigg from the Port of Grace Harbor, and I'm just here to encourage the city to give good consideration to authorizing the mayor to approve the interlocal agreement that you're going to be considering this evening. From time to time, we both have situations where we can utilize each other's equipment and personal properties, and for the benefit of our neighbors. And the board is more than happy to do that. And I just think it's a good thing. Everybody at the port that I'm aware of is in favor of this, and we like to get the city's approval on it so that we can continue to work together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. The next comment is from Rob Warren, and it is July 14th is when he sent it. Construction of Gateway Center. Dear Mayor Shave and City Council members, good evening. I'm writing to let you know that I do not support the city's plan to fund the construction of the planned Gateway Center. I believe it is too expensive to build. It is unnecessary and is not beneficial to the city of Aberdeen residents and business owners. I'm asking that you vote to not fund the project and to scrap the plans altogether. Respectfully, Rob Warren, Ward 6, Aberdeen. And the final multi-comment is from Casey Brinkley. The first one's long, the second one's a little shorter. So, hello, I'm Casey Brinkley. I'm at 321 North B Street. I'm writing this due to the poor answers and neglect of the camp by my home. Back in September, and had an issue with a man smoking meth in the open, and my 8-year-old daughter spotted it. It took four phone calls to PD at that time, and during that, I was told if I seen any person in the wooded area to call right away. No one should be up there. Come October, I seen the first tent. I called as I was asked to do. The police officer was very kind. He went up and came back and said it was a young girl and boyfriend. I believe that they meant no harm. She was dealt some pretty rough cards as a child, almost like I was made to feel bad and not worry about them. In months to come, the camp grew, people in and out, screaming cars coming and honking drug deals. I've had to call 911 multiple times since, one being a girl screaming for help, begging someone to stop, and hitting and like the female is in danger. It has now got so bad, myself being a victim of abuse, mentally, physically, and sexual, I no longer feel safe. I have 5 children. They are scared. My 15-year-old panics if they are left home alone. With all the garbage and unsafe living situations with these people, I now have rats. It's so bad. I'm having breathing issues. No. I'm having breathing issues and I'm spending $250 trying to do everything possible. I had to pay pest control people to come out to my home. This should not have happened. It isn't okay. My neighbors feel unsafe at night. None of us feel safe to go at night. I've documented for months. When's enough's enough? Or how about the large water bill I have due to watering around my property and fear that they will catch something on fire? With all their fires and fireworks, they think they can set off in the bushes. Why should I have to pay this money when simply it's not my fault? This is nasty. How would everyone feel if this was right outside their space? I'm tired of not sleeping, people screaming and fighting all hours of the night. Last night, I finally had to make a call yet again to 911. I had already had a lady undressing and redressing, screaming and pacing around, and people screaming down below my home. I watched firefighters up in the woods, still have no idea, even after the city thought they cleaned, but couldn't remove brush or dead trees. But the city and trimmed the grass up our road and left stuff all over our driveway, making it slick and messy for us to look at. My partner finally went and used our blower to get some of the stuff off the road. I've had enough and it's not fair. We plan to live here for about 5 years. At this point, want out. How about another neighborhood getting his home ready to sell? They can no longer deal with the situation. It's pure nasty, unsanitary, and I truly hope this mess doesn't mess with the sale or the value of my home. How can anyone allow these people to be here and live the way and affect the young family for anyone that matter? This is not okay. This is not where I want to raise my 5 kids that no longer feel safe. They are afraid one day their 2.5-year-old brother will get a needle. He's developmentally delayed and it scares all of us. Something needs to be done now. Not all the excuses I've got. All or the neighbors giving up because the city is failing us. Please make us feel safe. Is the city going to continue to pay the extra because fees I'm having to put out due to the risk and the garbage and the piles of needles everywhere? We had no trace of rats whatsoever till recently. This is sad, Aberdeen. This is a nasty unfair to the residents of this town. Please, I love my home, but I can't handle the conditions anymore. Thank you. And then her final comment is, hold on. I also want to state all the appreciation I have for the people involved that took time out of their life to clean up. 125 bags of garbage off the hill. We need people like these people that can truly care about Aberdeen. Also the city people that were out there, but they need to finish cleaning the mess. There's garbage now all over my road. Thank you again. And with that, that's the final comment.
Thank you. Councilmember, President Shaw. Do you have?
Mayor Shave, before I move to go into executive session, can you tell me how long you think you need?
I would say 20 minutes. I think we can do this in 20 minutes.
Okay, I move that the city council recess into executive session to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence to the agency. Action is expected after the session, which is expected to last about 20 minutes.
Second.
Motion is made and seconded to recess to executive session. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Richrod.
Just one question. Is it possible, since we have a guest, to speak to an issue that we could juggle the order a little bit? Is it important that this executive session happen right now?
It
and not
is.
later in the agenda? Okay.
We've juggled it to do this on purpose so we could get this
Very good.
behind us.
So,
Thank
Councilmember Rich Rod, I understand exactly what you're saying, but I had to take it on faith when I saw this on the agenda that the mayor also knew we had a guest and it wasn't an accident that it was put there on the agenda.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll recess for 20 minutes to executive session.
Melvin, I think you're in the wrong meeting. This is the original council meeting. This is not the executive session.
Yeah, and Jeff, I think you were supposed to get a separate invitation as well. You're
I
muted
don't-
here.
I don't believe I got an invitation for it. I was trying to find it in my email.
Okay.
Patricia, can you hear us on here?
Patricia, are you there? I'm also trying to find that email invite. I got the second one, which is, I think, for your discussion.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm here. There were only certain people invited to the last one. And so the only ones that were invited were, the majority were just council members
Right.
regarding
I
negotiation.
thought Mr. Myers, who is outside counsel, was supposed to be
Do you want to
invited.
be there too? No, the outside council is a different outside council.
Is outside counsel in the executive session?
Yes, he is.
Then I just want to make sure that you had legal counsel there.
Thank you.
Frank, I think there's a separate meeting invite for the executive session, and you're in the original meeting.
I'm having a problem finding it. I can't find what I'm supposed to hit to share.
Patricia, can you still hear us? Frank's having an issue.
I guess she's gone. Wow. Huh. Well,
There was supposed to be a couple of executive session invitations.
right. And I never listed for it. Huh. Well. Huh. No, I'm still stuck.
Hi, Margot. Are you back? Is the other one over? Oh, you're muted.
No, I never did get to the other one.
You're back on mute.
I don't disagree. Whatever it was you said, Margot, I don't disagree.
I didn't use any 4-letter words.
I'm trying to get back.
No luck, Margot?
Nope.
I know Frank was having the same issue, trying to find the invite.
Yeah.
Margot, did you get the email for the second executive session from me? I think I sent it out either yesterday or today, and I think you said yes.
Yeah. Yeah. I got it.
Okay.
But now it's going to be trying to find it again and all that kind of stuff.
I'll go ahead and resend that to everybody just so they're aware of it, so that it's at the top of their email chain. That's a good plan. Thanks,
You're-
Margaret.
You're a
Good idea.
sweetheart.
Carrie, I don't think we've ever met, but you used to be my mayor. I went to high school in Bellevue.
Oh, really? That's cool, Jeff.
And was there through law school, left in 1986. And I think at that point in time, you were the mayor of Bellevue.
Yeah, I was. That's a true story. Loved every minute of it. It was great. What year did you graduate from high school?
I graduated in 1980 and from Interlake.
Oh, well, I know a lot. I coached American Legion baseball for about 15 years, and I had a lot of Interlake players on my team. Runstead, Jeff Ringstead, Runyon, a bunch of young players. Yeah, that was a great time to grow up in Bellevue.
I sure was. Patricia, what's up?
Yeah, council's coming back. The executive session is over in the 20-minute allotment.
Very
Wow,
good.
we made it on time. Amazing.
Good. I missed him. Not much.
It's 8:42 PM and I would entertain a motion to reconvene the council meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to reconvene from recess at executive session and reconvene the council meeting. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The council meeting is called back to order. So, Council President Shaw, did you want to entertain your?
Yes, there's Dave, but did you know your video's not on?
Oh, thank you. You didn't want to see me anyway.
Words in my mouth.
I have a radio face.
So, Mayor Shave, I move to approve and authorize the mayor to enter into a settlement agreement with a former employee as discussed in executive session and approve the expenditure of $30,000. Therefore.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve this motion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. Moving on, finally, we're at the Finance Committee.
Good evening, everyone. Finance met tonight at 6 p.m. via Zoom. We spoke about the items on the agenda as well as a request from the Harbor Art Guild about the upcoming Rainglow Festival, which I'm going to bring up later during council comment period. During Finance Committee, we also discussed the need to lock down some of our capital planning and facilities needs based on what is in the agenda tonight. And Mayor Shave has assured us that it is well in process. So we may see a funding request in the future around some planning needs that we have. So with that, I will jump into the agenda items and I move we approve the expenditures and payroll.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve the expenditures and payroll. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Joshua, your cat is out of order. Could you please keep him out of the camera? Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, this is a roll call vote.
Yes, Mayor. Before the vote, the motion to approve accounts payable in the total amount of $2,042,698.97 and payroll in the total amount of $832,866.66. Check numbers 25178 through 25198 and 73702 through 73941 and wires 1267 through 1268. And the roll call vote. Councilmember Andrews,
Yes.
Councilmember Ellis,
Yes.
Councilmember Francie,
Yes.
Councilmember Gordon,
Yes.
Councilmember Cushman,
Yes.
Councilmember Mackey,
Yes.
Councilmember Meskis,
Yes.
Councilmember Richrod,
Yes.
Councilmember Ross,
Yes.
Councilmember Shaw,
Yes.
Councilmember Short,
Yes.
Councilmember Taylor,
Yes.
all approved.
Thank you.
Next on the agenda under reports is a report from Finance and the Community Development Director recommending that the City Council agree to contribute a minimum of $7 million of funding to support the construction of the Gateway Center building and the Gateway Center be included in the city's overall capital facilities plan. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Under discussion, city staff member Lisa Scott is out of town, and sitting in for her to give a introduction report on the Gateway Center is Carrie Bozeman. And I've gave you a brief description of Carrie, which was totally insufficient based on all the effort he's put in to help the city with this project. So I'll turn the floor over to Carrie before we go on to any other questions from the council.
Thank you, Mayor. This meeting brings back a lot of old memories. I served on the Bellevue City Council for 16 years, so I feel right at home. I was also the mayor of the city of Bellevue and the mayor of the city of Bremerton. And I love local government, and I've been involved with this project way longer than I ever thought I would. So thank you all for having me today. I think I can do this in about 10 minutes. I admire all of you for the service that you give. It's not an easy job. There's never enough money, and there's more things that people need than you can ever meet. So I've been down that road many times. I got a call in 2013, that's how long this was, from a guy named Scott Reinvan, who I didn't know. And I was retired from the mayor of Bremerton, and I'd done a major revitalization for the downtown, which had died kind of during the 60s and 70s, and he shared with me the story about Aberdeen and the good times that Aberdeen had had during the timber times, and the struggles that downtown Aberdeen was having in attracting private investment and developing new businesses downtown. And he said, would you be willing to come help us and form a committee to talk about the revitalization of downtown? And I had owned a place in Ocean Shores for 20 years, so I'd driven through Aberdeen, Hoquiam 20 years, and I'd always been interested in the redevelopment of downtowns. It's something I've loved my whole life. And so I said, sure. And Bill was the mayor. I'm trying to think of Bill's last name. I think he just passed
Simpson.
away. Yeah, he was a wonderful man. And so he said, would you come? And so they offered me a contract. I wasn't a consultant. I'd never really did consulting work, and within 6 months, I'd put the contract aside and told Bill I'll do this for nothing, which I've been doing now for 8 years. But we can't, the idea was to develop a revitalization plan for downtown. And I'll tell you a few things that happened early on. We recruited a really good committee. Some of them are still doing this. Betty Worth, for one, Tim Quigg, I think, is still involved, Scott Reinvan. We had a group of 25 or 30 that met. I remember staying in Bill Quigg's house many nights while I was meeting with various people in the community. I just love being down there. So we worked on this plan. How do we come down with it? A couple of things we did early on. We said, how can we dress up downtown? And I'm a big proponent of hanging basket flower programs. And so Betty Worth volunteered to put together the downtown flower program. And my gosh, within a year, she had raised $30,000 to put together, I think, one of the best flower programs in the whole state. And that just helps dress up the community. Another thing we were interested in, I was interested in, I remember the old days when I'd drive into Aberdeen and there was a welcome to Aberdeen sign on the Wishkall Bridge. And that had gone away, and the state had plastered up a couple of signs that said, if you go left, you can go to Westport. If you go right, you can go to wherever. And so I suggested to the mayor that we meet with the state highway department and ask them if we could put back the welcome to Aberdeen sign on the Wishkall Bridge. And he said, sure, let's do it. So we met with him and said, yes, we're happy to do that, but you guys have to pay for it, and it has to meet state standards. So there happens to be a Aberdeen man, I think his name is Root, that owns a major sign company in the state of Washington. And Tim Quigg called him and said, would you pay for us to help do this sign? Well, lo and behold, $40,000 donation. And about a year later, we put the new Welcome to Aberdeen sign on the bridge. And then we began the development of the plan. And we knew it had to be simple and straightforward. So there were 3 parts to the plan. And one is that the city is the city is right on a major river. And they reminded me of much of Bend, Oregon, where Bend was a timber town and the timber had gone away, and Bend, Oregon had revitalized itself around the river. And all this commercial activity started happening around the river. So we had 3 recommendations to the city. One is that we acquire property on the riverfront. So we started working with the owner at that time, and I'm forgetting his name. But I went and got the Urban Lands Institute to help us finance this thing. He wanted $350,000 or 1,500 feet on the water. Our plan was to put in a park and to put in condominium project and to put in retail uses on that river. And so I went to the city, and for some reason, I could not talk them into financing the initial down payment on that property for $350,000. I think we could have bought it up front for $50,000, and then the Urban Land Institute would have funded it. And they didn't want to do it. And now the property's owned by other people. I'm sure it's worth a lot more than we would have paid for it. So we didn't move forward on the riverfront project. The second issue that we thought was really important was that we had a 3-way highway running right through our downtown where traffic was going 50 miles an hour. The 2 lanes from Olympia to the Wishkall Bridge and then 3 lanes through our downtown. So we went to the city council and the mayor and said, what if we went to the state highway department and asked them if they would narrow that to 2 lanes and slow the traffic down? So if you got out of your car and you're parked on the downtown in one of our parking spaces, you didn't have to worry about getting your car, your door of your car torn off by traffic going 50 miles an hour. And the state met with us and they said, yes, we'll do that. But you have to pay for the new lining, for the new street sculpture. So we did. And Tim Quigg volunteered and he donated $25,000 and we narrowed the street from 3 lanes to 2 lanes and we slowed down the traffic. So we got that accomplished. The third thing that we looked at was the iconic and unbelievable opportunity that city has at the entrance to their downtown. Right over the Wishkah Bridge, if you go to the Wishkah Bridge, we've got all the numbers, like 12 to 15 million cars a year go over that bridge and they're heading to the ocean, they're heading to various other places west. And we thought, what a great opportunity to buy up this property and to build a building that would service tourism and economic development. Because if you remember, the whole idea of this was to bring new investment and new buildings downtown so the city would accrue new resources and new opportunities to do other things. So the first goal was to see if we could raise state money, because the city didn't have any money, to buy the property. And so I led a group with the mayor and some city council members, and we went to the state capital budget for $1 million. And they gave us the $1 million. They thought the project made a lot of sense. Frank Chop, who was Speaker of the House, loved the project. We got all the votes we needed, and they issued us a check for $1 million, which was turned over to the city. The city attorney at that time did a really great job of purchasing the property and all the parcels, which now are in the city's ownership. Then we needed money for planning and design and architectural work. So we went back to the capital budget, and I led this effort also, along with other members, the city council and the mayor. And we were given the second time around $500,000 to begin planning. And then we went back a third time, and we were given 1.7 million, I believe, to finish the architectural work and to do the planning. So we were ready to go on a construction of this iconic building. Everybody at the state capitol liked the idea. They liked our plan. So up to this time, they put in over $3 million for this project. You know, I just want to say we're at that point now where the architectural's been done, the property's been purchased by other citizens around the state. Now's the time where we have to decide how we can fund the construction of this project. And the idea was this would be a, let me see if I can describe this now. This would be a visitor center. So if the tourism are going through and they want to stop and they want information about the ocean or tides or fishing, or whatever it is, there would be that kind of opportunity in this building. We would also house the Economic Development Association so that we would have a good place to attract new business and new enterprise in our downtown. And that would be the purpose of this building. So we've done everything we can do. We've done the architectural work. We bought the property. And I think this committee, which is still going, is still meeting in the building that we established as our office that Tim Quigg financed for, I think, 3 years. I'm really proud of the work the group has done. They continue to do the flower program. We continue to try to raise money. We're all volunteers. I've been at this 7 years now. Now the decision is, will the city contribute to this project and how much? Do I think more money can be raised from grants and other means? Yes, I do. Would I be willing to work on that? Yes, I would. Am I going to tell you how much you should put into this project? No, that's your decision. Do I think long run this building will be there at that site for 100 years? And it will be well worth whatever the city invests in this project over a period of time. I just really believe that. Now, I'm not a voting member of the community, so my vote doesn't count. I'm just a guy that served in local government for 50 years now. And I do believe in this project, and I hope you'll give it its due consideration. I know there are many uses for money, many parks, homelessness, crime. I mean, it just goes on and on. The question is, would this help revitalize and bring new development and new taxes and new resources to the city that could be used for those uses? I happen to think it would, but that's my opinion. So that's kind of the history of where we are with the we had three. And I missed one thing. When we did the initial plan, we thought, does this plan make sense? Is it a good plan? So we got a grant from the state Commerce Department for $68,000 for the city. And they brought in the Washington State chapter of the American Planning Association. 25 planners from around the state visited Aberdeen for 2 days. We had 2 community meetings, and they wrote their own report, which I hope has been shared with the city council. I've still got my vision. It's called Downtown Aberdeen Community Planning Assistance Team Report. And they all agreed that we were doing the right thing. And they wrote a complete analysis of our plan, and they approved it, and they thought it was a good plan for the city. So that was 25 or some of the best planners in the state that came and was paid for by the Commerce Department. So that's kind of all I've got to say. I love the community. I love the city. Betty and I still talk often. Tim Quigg and I still have lunch. I hope this project gets its due consideration. I know it's not easy, and I just appreciate and thank you for the privilege you've given me to work with your community and volunteer and be a part of this. Mayor, that's all I've got to say, unless people have any questions.
Mayor, you're muted.
You're muted, Mayor.
Councilperson Ellis, you can come
I'm
off mute and
sorry.
ask a question.
I just wanted to say thank you, Carrie. I don't think we could have heard a better history lesson on the Gateway than that, and you did a great job.
You're quite welcome. It was my privilege. And as I said before, I appreciate all of you and the work you do as city council members. I love being a city council member, and I ran 4 terms, and I loved every minute of it. And so thank you for your service to your community. God bless you. With that, I will sign off, Mayor, unless anybody's got a question.
Does anybody have a question in particular for Carrie? Okay, thanks, Carrie. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. Be well.
Okay, there was a motion made. Is there any further discussion? Liz?
Yes, thank you. I have a question for the Finance Committee. $7 million is a pretty big chunk of change. And I'd like to know what the source of that money would be and what the timing of the distribution would be. Like, is there $7 million coming out of one place at one time? Or is it maybe 3 million one year and 2 million another? Those are my questions about this.
Sure. So no surprise that it would be coming from the general fund. And as far as distribution, I think right now it's more of a commitment that we're putting this much money, we're committing this money towards the project. There's not a date of it will be spent this amount by this dollar, by this time period, excuse me.
And so the general fund source, is that, would that be some of the insurance money from the Armory fire? What does that do to our general fund in terms of our ability to look at all these other projects that we've talked about tonight?
I see Director Soul popped on. Go ahead.
Okay, so we haven't started the budget for 2022, but it definitely will be part of that process. The only place that we have that much reserves is it's all in the general fund reserve. but the majority of that reserve is coming from the fire proceeds. So there is the funds that can be moved via a supplemental budget into a project fund designated gateway. So it could be just completely moved out of general fund like we did with the museum when we did that during the end of the year. We could do that same thing during a supplemental budget and move it into a fund designated for gateway use, if that was what the choice of the council was. But it would be a budget supplemental before anything would be moved.
Okay, I see Frank has his hand up.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, my biggest question is, this gateway is a wonderful thing. I know we can pay for building it. Where's the money going to come from to maintain the building, to pay for the insurance and these other items that come on down the road? That's where my big worry is that we're going to have ourselves a beautiful building that we can't take care of unless the economy really, really takes off. Thank you.
Tawny?
So I've been supportive of this project my entire 8 years in the council, but I will say that we have to commit to build the building if we're going to attract any type of tenants. So we can't get anybody to commit to becoming a tenant in a building that may or may not come to fruition. But if we commit the money that we're going, whether we spend it this minute or next, then we can start to attract tenants to worry about to handle that maintenance fund. But you can't attract tenants with a maybe in a building we've talked about for, as Carrie said, a long time. We lost a building when we lost the armory, so we don't have another building to offer tenancy to.
Other comments? Josh?
I'm reading through this report and it says the facility will generate operating surplus of $25,000 a year. Looking at that, that is 280 years before $7 million is paid back.
Okay, any other comments? Margot, you've had your hand up quite a while.
Seems to me we're kind of putting a horse before the cart. It's a lot of money. We've got fire department and we have police department. And remind me that we have a facilities plan. If I, look at that facilities plan and get that in my mind, then maybe I'd feel more comfortable about this.
Thank you. I've seen Councilmember Ross's hand up.
Yeah, I just would like to say that I support this project wholeheartedly. I think it can have nothing but positive benefits for our city. And I do believe, as Tawny Andrews mentioned, that if we make the commitment as a city, I do believe that we have much better prospects for getting tenants. I do believe that the building can be self-sustainable. And I think it's a very positive move for our city in the right direction, but we have to make that commitment.
Council Member Meskis.
Thank you very much. I have advocated and supported this project for even before I got onto council. And, coming from a corporate background, corporations look for places to have their seminars, to have their big meetings. And if we have a facility like this, we will be, a place where they can go to. The closest place is that you can do the same thing as in Ocean Shores or Elma, and Elma's is really, really tiny. So having a facility like this will bring corporate people in that are going to spend a lot of money, not just to rent the facility and use it, but they're going to go all around town and spread some money around as well. So this is a very good investment, not just, for our city, but also the businesses of our city. So I am totally in support of this. And we knew it was going to be expensive. This is not a surprise.
Councilmember Catchman, you had your hand up.
Sure. This is the first of, many large requests that we're going to be seeing in the future for projects that are considered a priority of the city. And I spoke to Mayor Shave about this earlier this week, and we were talking about his priorities, and the Gateway Center was within his top 4 priorities for the city, and he is very supportive of this request. It does have revenue potential that's both tangible and intangible. And as we get further along in this process, we already are to a point where if we do decide that we're not going to support the Gateway any longer, we may be obligated to repay a portion of the funding that we've already received on this right now. So committing these funds, it does not mean that these higher priority projects like police and fire and the levee project would be put on the back burner. This is just one of those that ended up coming along first, but it really does show the importance of why we need to lock in on our strategy around capital planning and facilities needs. So as these come in, it's really clear that this is one request and others are coming along too.
Council President Shaw, you haven't spoke yet.
So as a member of the Finance Committee, I also would share with the council that I have been regularly attending the Gateway Committee meetings. And when I got on the council, this is a project like this is very easy from the outside looking in to marginalize, but I just have to say that when I started looking into this, when I was new on the council and I've been part of the process, this, other than the timeline, it's taken a lot longer than anyone would want. This project is textbook. Every feasibility study and I mean, there's evidence all over the state that projects like this enhance communities. And I will share that I wasn't quite ready. The mayor wanted to bring a number forward because he's being told in the, as he goes around and meets that, we need to commit to build it, but we also need to be able, one of the things that we still have funding for, and that's why the report was written, to make sure that the council knows that we have funding to make sure that this is part of a bigger picture and that we're not, just scattershotting, projects. But there, in terms of Member Gordon's concern about the operational plan, there was a facility study and operational plan developed for this building that was looked at again by the committee. And for Councilmember Francie, it's not that operating the facility is going to repay the $7 million. Nobody ever expected that. But the experts that were brought in to look at how a building like this could be operated are very, very optimistic that if we do it right and continue to, follow the playbook, that we're going to be able to attract the kind of tenants that will allow us to operate that building without it being a drain on the city. So I've tried to do my best critical thinking. I know sometimes I drive the mayor nuts. Some of the questions you're asking tonight are questions that we asked of him and Director Scott before we brought this proposal forward. And I've got a little flip-flop going on in my tummy because it's a big number, but I think we need to do this. We need to do this. We can wrap ourselves around the axle forever, wondering, trying to get it right. But this is just saying that this is a commitment. It doesn't, the question about where's it actually going to come from and all that planning, that's part of what this report wants us to produce. Yes, let's commit to doing it. And now with a commitment to doing it, we're going to have the ability to figure out how. But it's not, I don't think it's a cart before the horse thing. It's we also, yeah, we got a lot of needs, folks, and we just got to be able to work on all of them. We have to be able to do them simultaneously. It's not going to be linear. So thank you, Mayor Shea.
Thank you. Any other comments? You know, for me, Margot, I think this is a step. We've come through this step, this step, this step, and this step. And now we're at a point where to move forward, we need to know and be able to tell our project manager that we find to go forward with this project what our commitment is, so that that person can work from there and try to fill in the blanks. So that's all I'm asking the council for is what do we want to do? How do we want to move forward with this? What's the number that we will commit to? And again, the number that's being presented here was what is the number I was told in conversation with some state legislators. So that's where we're at. I think we've had a really good discussion on this tonight. And most importantly, I'm really happy that we got such a good history of the project. So seeing no more discussion, there's motion.
Mayor, Councilmember Richrod has had his hand up for a moment.
Oh, I'm sorry. Councilmember Richrod, go ahead.
Yeah, I had a whole page of notes, but let me just boil it down to a couple of practical examples. And Councilmember Short is absolutely right. This is a lot of money. In Seattle, this is stuff they find in the couch cushions, but down here, it's a lot of money. But for example, I'm trying to remember what year it was. I think it was 2014 or 15. I went to a revitalization conference in Chelan, which is not nearly as big as Aberdeen. And they took the step similar to this, bought an old building and refurbished it. Actually, they didn't have to buy the building. The building was gifted to them, but they had to put all the money into refurbishing the building. It became a visitor center, a center of public access to government, and they rented out spaces, and it turned into an income generator for the local community. And Aberdeen, of the 39 counties in the state of Washington, Grays Harbor County is, I believe, number 37 in terms of poverty, and we can bounce along the bottom of the river if we want to. But really the most efficient way, an effective way out of that is economic development. And the economic development that is spurred by this kind of a project, that's what generates the extra money over and above what Councilmember Francie talked about. If it was just the rent payments, that would take forever. And another example, very quickly, closer to home and almost an absolute parallel, is the city of Astoria. And Astoria lost Crown Zellerback paper. They lost Bumblebee Seafood. They lost American Can. They lost the Bumblebee cold storage. They lost the shipyard. They lost everything. And they rolled over and died. And son of a gun, the sun came up the next day, and investment was made. And they had the same kind of mental wrangling about investing, I believe it was $5 million into a city project at the time. It was quite a few years ago. And but now that economic activity that has been generated from that makes the initial investment look like pocket change. So it'll happen.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
All right, so the convention thing, so glad that that was brought up because I left that out of my first. And then you have to, this project has already spurred some development. Look at Twin County's credit union's building. They put that building in that style that they did. Part of that was because of what we were going to put in front of it. So there you go.
Twin Star, you're talking old school, Tawny.
Oh, sorry. My bad.
Okay, is there any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
I think this building really can be a catalyst to a lot of exciting revitalization for our city. I just regret that we're looking at it in a piecemeal fashion rather than we've got the menu of the entire major capital projects before us so that we have a good handle on what our budget is, where funds can be put towards each of the different projects that we know are coming up. I rely a lot on the committees that vet these reports in terms of following your recommendation. And so given that I don't have that 100% certainty, I'm inclined to support this report. But I'd really like to encourage us as a council that we move on that capital projects piece soon so that we do have the complete picture. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
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 Oh,
Any opposed?
Oh,
Aye.
The ayes have it. The motion carries. I return the floor back to Committee Chair Katzman.
All right. Next, we have a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the mayor to sign the First Amendment with RWD Landscape Architecture for a contract extension through December 31st, 2021. I move we adopt this report.
A second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right, next is a report from Finance and the Parks Director recommending that the City Council authorize the Parks Director to hire Berglund, Schmidt and Associates to provide a topographic survey of the proposed RV park site following the city's procurement policy for an amount not to exceed $10,800. I move we adopt this report.
I second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Rich Rod?
I just had one question. There was a survey, something like this or similar to it, made some years ago when we were looking at the sprint boat track and RV park. Is any of that still available to use, or do we have to start over?
They will be using ecological land services, wetland delineations, flag markers as part of this design survey, yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Councilmember Ellis, you had your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. It seems like back in April, we approved not to exceed $20,000 for this, and it's come back at 10,800. So that's no.
No, that was a geotechnical analysis.
See, that was different.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a soils analysis, and this is a design survey of the topography and marking the boundaries for the wetlands delineation and the buffers off of the Charlie Creek.
And does this represent this doesn't represent a supplemental request though, right?
Nope, this one
Thank
does
you.
not.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, oh, Margot, you have your hand up.
I just have to say it. Here 10,000, there 10,000. Pretty soon you got a bunch.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that's it from finance. So I'm going to hand it over to Councilperson Meskis.
Thank you. Public Works.
Thank you very much. Public Works met the other day, a little after 4 via Zoom, and went over our agenda items, which are rather short, thankfully. So I will get right to it. First, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the mayor shall be authorized to execute an interlocal agreement for equipment between the City of Aberdeen and Port of Grace Harbor. I recommend we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Richrod.
I just wanted to say, when I read this report, my first thought was, we're not doing this already, sharing equipment and stuff. So yeah, you bet I'm going to support it.
Councilmember Meskis.
Thank you very much. Yeah, actually, Councilmember Richrod, one of the things that we discussed about this item, Director Sanger mentioned that they do already trade equipment. We have a really good working relationship with the port, and this is really just a formality to make it official. And I too definitely support this. I think having a good relationship with the port is important.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Oppose? Motion carries.
And next, we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the city engineer shall be authorized to award the Stevens Elementary Pedestrian Improvements Project contract to the responsive low bidder, and the mayor shall be authorized to execute a contract with the responsive low bidder within the approved budget of the 2021 TBD annual project plan. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Meskis.
Under discussion, I actually need to make a motion to amend the report, but I need Director Sanger's assistance because we thought that we had all of the bids amounts sent to us, but we didn't. And the project was actually awarded to, I believe, Roglins, but I don't have the actual bid amount. Director Sanger, would you be able to come on and tell us what that amount was?
Well, I'm currently at home and I have no ability to look what that amount is.
Okay, so I will ask Corporation Counsel Kent, since we don't have the information to amend the report, and this is actually a pretty important project to get underway.
I have it in an email. It was sent to you prior to the meeting yesterday as a bid tab in an email for our Public Works Committee meeting.
Yeah, and I couldn't find it.
I'll pull it up.
And if not, I would say that based on the amount of discussion there is and the fact that it does exist and the number does support it, it would be a Scrivener's error that could be corrected at in the minutes of the next city council meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Why don't we go ahead and do that? So I won't make any motion to.
Unless
amend.
Director Sanger can come up with that before the end of your session. Because he looks like he's tippity typing.
It appears the bid tab says Rogland's bid was for $545,274.50.
Okay, so I would like to amend the report to show that the bid was awarded to Rogland's for the amount that Director Sanger just said, because I didn't write it down.
Director Sanger, could you repeat that for the city?
Yes, it's $545,274.50.
Thank you.
Yep.
Second on the motion to amend.
Thank you. Motion's been made and seconded to amend this report. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? The report is amended. I will entertain a motion to pass the
make a
report
motion
as
to
amended.
Yep, I would make a motion to adopt the report as amended.
Second,
Motion been made and seconded to adopt this report as amended. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The report is passed.
Fantastic. And next we have a report from Public Works and the Public Works Director recommending that the mayor shall be authorized to execute an amendment to the on-call agreement with HDR Inc. to extend the effective date until July 31st, 2023. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt this report. Is there any discussion? Under discussion, Councilmember Meska.
Thank you very much. This is just another one similar to what we did last meeting with a few others where we're just moving that date. There's no additional funding or anything.
Okay, under discussion, if I might comment on this, HDR has been a tremendous help in a lot of the technical issues and advice that goes with the process of building the levee project. And our staff has been working real hard to meet all them requirements and needs as much as they possibly can. But there's a lot, and it's extremely stressful for our engineering team to keep up with all that stuff. And HDR has been a great help doing that. So I just wanted to throw that in. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And last report, we have a report from Public Works and the Community Development Director recommending that the City Council approve the ordinance amending the city's critical areas ordinance. I move we adopt this report.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to adopt this report. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And under ordinances, we have the first reading of Bill number 21-05, an ordinance amending Aberdeen City Code 14.100. I move that we accept this reading.
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Motion was made and seconded to accept the first reading of this bill number 21-05. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
And that is all from Public Works.
Thank you. Moving on to public safety.
Public safety met this evening and we had Deputy Chief from the police department in there because Chief Shoemate was busy with his staff meetings. They had the second one with the patrol about all the changes that we discussed in our last workshop. So it's, you know, quite intense that they all had to go through and discuss all of that. There's nothing on the agenda from Public Works tonight, but as everybody saw in the news, that July has been a very busy month for the police department. July 8th especially, that's when they had 3 serious incidents within 12 hours. The incident of the gentleman on the Wishkau River Bridge, the standoff, and then a tragic automobile accident next to the wave. It was, yeah, condolences to that family. They did the physically agility testing on June 26th for the entry-level police and police services officers. Unfortunately, only 3 entry-level police officers and 1 PSO candidate passed. They move on to the written and oral board examinations. And the police department, I already told you about that. The police is wondering if the council is interested, if they look at body worn cameras, I will tell you that we've had these discussions in the past regarding body worn cameras, and it required not only the purchase of the actual camera equipment, but we'd have to completely redo all of the internal internet because you have to store all of that for public information. So, I mean, it would be quite a looking into it, but something we can talk about later. The Police Navigator Program, Aberdeen Police Department, Hoquiam Police Department, and Cosmopolis Police Department were awarded the grant from the Washington Association of Sheriff and Police Chiefs. If anyone knows of somebody who would be interested in this position, Hoquiam Police Department will be hiring that position, and the person needs to have a master's degree with a background in mental health counseling. So if you know anybody, you can send them their way. On fire side, it was a busy month as always. The fire service specialist, she did 7 home visits in June, 27 homes for a smoke alarm sweep. What that means is if there's a fire in the neighborhood, they tend to go to the neighbor's house and check on them. They placed 8 smoke alarms for home fire safety, but it's just a good time that everybody is aware that they kind of check on how everybody's doing. So there was the quick response team. There were 12 E911 calls for overdoses in the month of April, 7 Grace Harbor QRT follow-ups with prior OD patients, and 2 patients received treatment information. They also received a grant from the Grace Harbor Community Foundation and will start implementing an 8th and 9th grade CPR, AED, and first aid week-long program in the schools, teaching them how to do adult CPR, infant CPR, choking, fire aid basics, kitchen safety, even talking about firefighter and EMT paramedic as a career. They'll be using virtual reality headsets. So it's quite an intensive program. In the month of June, there was 492 calls for service. That is 410 of those are just rescue and emergency medical. So it's quite large. And then we were talking about fireworks in the public safety meeting because it always comes up this time of year. It just does. So there is quite a large research that the fire chief did for us using the MRSC website and all the background about the state laws, what it requires. You have to take legislative action. If we wanted to restrict the sale or use of fireworks in 2022, we would have to take we would have had taken legislative action no later than June 28th of 2021. Obviously that's passed. So if we did anything now, it wouldn't take effect until 2023. It's very hard to enforce. We discussed that. It's just, there's already, the deputy chief mentioned that if the police department does get a report of illegal fireworks and they catch the person with them, they are confiscated and then they have to be destroyed by the Washington State Patrol bomb squad. So, and then as you know that the Hoquiam, they tried to put an emergency fireworks ban into place and they had to rescind that because even to put that provision into your ordinance, you have to write an ordinance that, which again wouldn't take effect till 2023, that in the event of a high fire danger, that the specific officials such as the mayor, county executive, sheriff, fire marshal can prohibit fireworks during emergency conditions such as high fire danger. That's why some communities such as I believe Cosmopolis, they have that in their ordinance, so they were able to do that. But like Hoquiam did not, so even though the mayor issued that, he had to withdraw. So, if anybody's interested in all of the fine work that the fire chief put together, and you didn't get a copy, let me know. I won't drag it out any longer by sharing it right now. So I believe, let's see, I'm gonna look at my notes. Yep, that's it from public safety.
Thank you, Council Chair, or Committee Chair Andrews. Under special agenda items, Council President Shaw, do you have an item there?
I do. Thank you, Mayor. Council members, I ask that this be on the agenda following the governor's relaxing of meeting rules. There's now no social distancing and no capacity or social distancing requirements for public meetings, although audience, if we do reopen for in-person meetings, the members of the public would be required to wear masks. And I just was looking for the council to give the mayor guidance on what direction we want to head. Does this council want to start working toward coming back in person as soon as we can?
Council Member Meskis.
Thank you very much. I know everybody is really hot to trot to get back to in-person meetings. I know it's a lot of things are a lot easier. But my question would be, would we be able to keep like a Zoom or some kind of remote option available? Because one of the things that is convenient is if one of us goes out of town, we can always still attend the meeting. We don't have to call out and potentially miss a meeting. So even if we, even when we do, not if, when we go back, I'd really like to see us be able to keep an option for council members to attend remotely.
I asked that very same question earlier because I felt it would be really awkward for part of the council to be sitting in the council chamber and part of the council not be there. And how do you communicate back and forth? And I guess Hoquiam's had that figured out pretty well. They had somebody manning a computer that had the council members that weren't in attendance through the computer on a large screen TV that was in the council chamber. And somehow they made it work, and I heard that it worked well. Council President Shaw.
And I would just say that if that's the direction the council wants, yes, there's plenty of ways out there that can be done. We're doing it in the schools. It's called hybrid learning. Some kids are on remote and calling into the classroom while some kids are in person. But we would have to do the research on how to capture that for the record and what kind of, and even if it's as simple as being able to phone in and listen, I think that I think we need to enter that universe.
It still seems to me it kind of makes it tough for council members to communicate with other council members when some are there and some aren't. But I'm sure we can work through it. Margot, did you have a comment?
I would miss missing meetings because I didn't push the right buttons. I'd like to be back in person. This techie thing is.
Yeah. So where we're at with this, City Clerk Sol has already done quite a bit of research into this. And I believe with help of other staff, come up with a couple of companies that are familiar with our system. City Clerk Sol, would you like to take over here?
Yes, the whole video conferencing format seems to be one that I've heard from other council members that they would like to see going forward. And in fact, Councilmember Meskis and I talked in detail about it. So I'm getting quotes from the firm that installed the existing audio system. There's a couple other firms that are I've reached out to. One came and looked at the council chambers today, and another one the mayor heard about from another organization. So the whole goal is to keep Zoom, if we do remote, keep the ability for people to remotely participate. as an option for council to decide if that's how they want to go. So we're in process. I've gotten that started and look forward to sharing it with council.
Thank you. Councilmember Francie.
I was just curious, what's the status of a filtration system or HVAC? Is up to code, all that good stuff?
I'm not sure I heard all the question well.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was just curious about the status of the air filtration in the council chambers.
Oh, because of the water issues, the leaks.
Well, more of a concern of just having something to
Air quality.
catch any like airborne things. Just a filter is all I'm curious about.
Ultraviolet and all that too.
Well, we'll have to have the company that installed our system speak to that, because I certainly can't answer all them technical questions about that system. Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. I would echo Councilmember Francie's question about the air filtration. If we don't have windows that give us circulation of outside air. And I also would encourage us to at least have the option for hybrid meetings, in part because we aren't out of the woods yet with this COVID stuff. We sure the heck like to be, and COVID-19 seems to be fading out, but there's 2 other variants out there that could really wallop our population, and being able to be flexible and respond to changing conditions locally, I think is really helpful for us.
Thank you. Councilmember Andrews.
I'm not sure if we're still under a governor's order about in-person meetings. And if we're no longer under it, I'm curious about our ordinance or our city code as far as council members appearing by video rather than, I'm not sure our city code currently covers that. Remoting into a council meeting, because we have such old stuff in place anyway. So we might have to look at that as well. Oh, Patrice.
Good point. You're right. We probably do need to look at that if it's not currently allowed.
It is currently, sorry, Patrice Kent Corporation Council, just trying to get one last thing in on my last day. That question was brought up, and I think Council President Shaw might have been the one to bring it up. Our code is currently silent as to remote attending. And part of that is because of our history and our technology. And part of it is related to updates in the Open Public Meetings Act as far as how that can be related. We are still under some limitations. We are allowed to be in public in person or hybrid. If we go in person, we still need to allow some sort of telephonic connection for members of the public. So it would seem reasonable that would extend to council members as well.
Okay, I just didn't know if there was still a governor's order in place to cover that for now. And then once that's rescinded, if there's any future remoting in, we would have to change our language in our ordinances, I'm assuming.
It's silent right now.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean we can't do it. It just means we haven't addressed it yet. And I will also, after he is appointed, I would defer to Mr. Myers because he's got a more broad base of experience on these sorts of questions.
Yeah, you are not alone, and I am a general counsel to the Olympic Region Clean Air Agency, And the very question came up. And they are very interested in returning to in-person meetings as well. And my understanding is that you still have to have some a public component that allows the public to attend virtually at this time. And then your in-person meeting is subject to some relaxed standards for public accommodations, and the guidance has been relaxed so that you don't have to have social distancing or masking necessarily for vaccinated persons, and for the rest of the public, you can require masking. I agree with Council Member Andrews that we're not out of the woods yet. And we still need to be cautious about things, but it is a decision that you can make, and a hybrid option is currently allowable under the governor's most recent guidance.
And as we prepare to come back, council members, members of the audience would be required to be masked because we don't have the ability to, we don't want to be in the business of checking vaccination cards. So we can require masking and but council members would need to follow city hall protocols. If, council members who want to not wear a mask at meetings would still need to follow L&I guidelines, and as essentially employees of the members of the city, we have to be on file as being vaccinated in order to not wear a mask at City Hall. And that would be, that protocols, and I've already been through it at the police department. You sign an attestation and demonstrate, then you're good. But so City Hall is already set up to clear us, those of us who may choose to not want to wear a mask in a meeting.
So where we're at right now is we would have loved to already been back to in-person meetings, but we're following the process that the state suggested or laid out, and trying to make the city able to continue to have virtual or have the public on the participate via computer or via Zoom. So we have to provide that source, and that's where we're at. We're looking for how we can do that and what the best way for us to do it. So I can't tell you exactly how long this is all going to pan out and take, but hopefully we can zip right through it. What I addressed with Patricia today was, I heard of another local group where one of the employees I'm not sure if it's their IT person or not, brought in a program that worked real well for their meeting. So they had their group back together and had their meeting and was able to video it successfully. So we're going to look into that as well. Maybe that'll be quicker and easier and less expensive. So, okay, any other thoughts on this? Was that all you had there, Council President Shaw?
That's all I had. I just wanted to make sure that council had an opportunity to discuss it and give any guidance to you as you look at this.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is appointments. And it's the appointment of Law Lyman Firm as interim corporate counsel of the city of Aberdeen until such a time as a permanent corporation counsel is identified. As interim corporation counsel, Law Lyman is also authorized to undertake all administrative duties of corporation counsel. I might add, in my feelings about this, is I didn't want to miss 1 minute of service of corporate counsel. Our corporate counsel, Patrice Kent, has been just thrashing busy, and we can't afford to miss a minute. So we're reaching out to Law Lyman firm, which is something that they specialize in, is contracting with communities for this type of service. So it'll keep us covered, and till that time, we go through all the process and find a replacement. So with that said,
I move,
yes.
I move to approve the appointment of Law Lyman as our corporation counsel.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve Law Lyman as the corporation counsel. Is there any discussion? Patrice, did you have something you wanted to add in there?
I did want to add the representation agreement was based on an average of 40 hours a week, talking about some internal coverage that our current, sorry, 40 hours a month. 40 hours a month. Sorry, Jeff. And that would not require a supplemental budget if we're able to stick to that. We've got, I'll follow up with what are some of our internal processes are, so hoping to maintain that level. That also assumes that this, as part of our discussions, that Human Resources had indicated that they were reaching out to another law firm specializing in human resources and employment and labor law to pick up those sorts of questions. And so I haven't had a chance to see where that was moving, but that is what will allow Law Lyman to really focus on the balance. It's not that they can't do it, because they have represented us ably in some HR issues, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Well, and I'm looking forward to working with every one of you. That's, I appreciate that.
Thank you. It's good to see you here finally in face tonight.
Usually our meetings are much longer.
You're not done yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's still another exec session.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I'm turning the floor back over to you, Deanne.
So Mayor Shave, I move that the council recess into executive session.
Point of order, we're skipping council comment period again.
Oh.
Forgive me, I do that all the time. Sorry.
There's
The
something
next item on
Freudian
the
in that.
agenda is city council comment period. Council member Mesca.
I only remember because I have comments. So I have a couple things to go over really quick. First, I just want to really thank Patrice Kent for her years of service to our city. Your advice and hammering in Robert's Rules of Order and all that fun stuff has been invaluable, and we are definitely going to miss you. The second one, I think Katie might be doing this regarding Rain Glow, so I'm going to actually not do that. I'm going to not steal her thunder and let you do it. The big one is Councilmember Ellis and I had a discussion about fireworks. We've been getting inundated with requests that we go over this. So I would like to see if the council would be interested in creating an ad hoc committee to go over our ordinance and talk with public safety about what can we do that is enforceable, and how can we move forward with ordinance that we can actually do something with, because I know it's hard. Our police department is understaffed. So if we make this big ordinance and they can't, and they don't have the people to enforce it, well, it doesn't do anybody any good. We just waste some time. But I think if we can form a small group that can just go over it and come up with a plan, that we can enact throughout the future, I think that would work. So I don't know if I need to make a motion on that. But I wanted to throw that one out to council really quick. And then I have one more thing.
I'll make a motion.
I would suggest a motion.
Okay, I will make a motion then to form an ad hoc committee to discuss our fireworks ordinance and propose future changes to it.
Second,
Motion was made to form an ad hoc committee on the fireworks or city ordinance on fireworks and to look further into it. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Katzman.
May I just make a recommendation to have that go to the Public Safety Committee? And I would make an amendment to do that.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded to amend the motion. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Meskis.
I had actually thought about putting that to the Public Safety Committee, but it seems like we need more involvement than just public safety in it. Potentially even Public Works, because they have to clean up after a bunch of the stuff. So it's really kind of a citywide thing, which is why, you know, I thought of an ad hoc committee, but if the council decides that it would be better to go straight to public safety, then by all means, let's do it. Just as long as we're doing something.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Richrod.
In thinking about this, I could hear Councilmember Andrews' eyes roll. I think that the ad hoc committee idea with drawing from the entire council, I think that's probably a pretty good idea. It doesn't have to be big. I agree with Councilmember Meskis that it's probably a better way to go than just to drop it into the safety committee. That's it.
Okay,
I agree.
thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment to the motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
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 What were we voting on now?
The amendment.
The amendment.
The noes have it. So so we're going back to the original motion, which was made and seconded.
But you need to
Which
restate.
said form an ad hoc committee on fireworks. I tried to write it all down, but things were going on too fast. I didn't get it all written down.
It's in the minutes.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the original motion, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Aye.
The ayes have it, motion carries.
Okay.
So,
Wonderful. I had one more thing, Mayor, if I may.
yes. Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to issue a response to County Commissioner Jill Warney's comment that she sent in, and I promise I will be polite. My response to Commissioner Warney is that the county decided to defund the needle exchange program that they were running. And now you're asking the city to create an ordinance that is going to cost us money to enforce. You know, it's going to take people, it's going to take city staff to do that. So, you know, are we going to receive any kind of income, any kind of funding from the county?
It's up so much anymore. You don't get all your seats.
Oh.
City Clerk Soul, your mic is on.
Ah, sorry, talking to my dog. Sorry.
So anyhow, to continue on, you know, my point is that, you know, ordinances cost money to enforce. It takes city staff to enforce. So, you know, you gave up the ability to run your own needle exchange program, and now you want the city to take over your responsibility. So, you know, if you have additional money to spend on something like this, then why don't you take it back, please? And, you know, run it properly. If there are changes that need to be made at the county level, then make them. Don't put that on the city, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Francie.
Aye.
as an elected official, I'm supposed to not rely on hearsay. I am supposed to use my own observations. I've actually been to the Needle Exchange. I've been to both of them. When the county did it and when Willapaw's done it. Willapaw's better.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Councilmember Catherine.
Yeah, as many of you probably have seen, a request came to council to provide funding for the Aberdeen Rain Glow Festival, which is put on by Harbor Art Guild, 501c3 nonprofit. The request is for the Artist Avenue downtown, which is the alleyway that's between Broadway and I believe I Street, that has all of the murals. Normally the council entertains grant requests via our LTAC committee. However, I'm not sure why, but this request did not come in time for that or for this committee to meet again and bring forth a recommendation to council. So I would like to make a motion for the city council to approve a $4,000 grant in support of the Artist Avenue request, with the caveat that it is completed in full for the Harbor Art Guild, and the funds that would be utilized would be from the Council Projects Fund, which is Fund 004, which currently has a budget of $5,000 and has been untapped year to date.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to approve $4,000 from the council fund to go to the Rain Glow Festival. For their $4,000 request. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Andrews.
What are they requesting the money for? That project was started by the Aberdeen Arts Walk. We got permission from the building owners to do those murals in that alleyway. Actually, former police chief Torgerson was a great advocate for that project as well. And we all worked together to get all those building owners to give us permission to paint the alleyway. So I'm kind of curious what they want the money for.
There's a specific, go ahead, Katie.
Yeah, let me share my screen. Hopefully I do this correctly here. Okay, this is a letter from Mr. Orr, and it was sent to everyone on city council. However, it went into our mailboxes on the 3rd floor of City Hall. So it says Glow World 3 is slated for Artist Avenue in downtown. Our wish is to add LED solar lighting, colorful triangular canvas covering, freshened up art with wall washer lighting, a painted cobblestone looking path, and live dancers with music. The projected cost for the Artist Avenue is about $4,000, not including donated volunteer labor. The best part is that when the event is over, the painted path, solar lighting, and canvas colors will remain as a permanent art installation. This alley draws tourists who stop and stroll, taking pictures, sending money, and creating memories. It would be done, I believe, by the Downtown Business Association, saying that they would be willing to help create the art installation. So it's just a matter of funding. And let me just scroll down for anyone that's visual and wants to see what this is going to look like. Sorry, my computer is a little slow with the images and the screen share. So it would look something a little bit like this when it's complete. And like the letter says, it would be a permanent installation. So not one time.
So I know that I'm hoping they got the city's permission to already paint the alley, which they've already done, because I saw pictures earlier today that they've already painted the alley. So hopefully they got city permission from that. And then they would need permission from all these building owners to hang things on their building. So I mean, I'm just saying that, not to mention the fact that, yeah, they didn't go through LTAC like everybody else, but just saying. My two
Big
cents.
trucks going through there.
Yeah, and the trucks, yeah, those trucks there, the DNR has semi trucks that go through there when they have events. And the garbage trucks and stuff and delivery trucks go through that alley as well.
Absolutely. I believe Mr. Orr is in attendance in the audience tonight, so those would all need to be things that will have to be considered as part of this.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. There we go.
There we go.
Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Yes, I talked with Mr. Orr about why he was coming to council so late in the process, and they would have applied for grant funding, but given COVID, they weren't sure that they'd be able to put this on this year. And certainly they'll be looking at grant funding for future events.
Thank you, Councilmember Meskis.
Thank you very much. Just for full disclosure, I am actually volunteering for Rainglow. I'll be one of the DJs. I have no monetary interest in it at all. They're not paying me anything, just totally volunteering my time. But I do believe that this is going to be a really great event for our area. I think 4,000 is a little ambitious right now. I would love to approve 4,000, but given that I would really like to see Harbor Art Guild approach other funding sources in the future, I would actually like to amend Katie's proposal and reduce that amount down to $1,000, which I think will be enough for them to accomplish, some things this year. And then come up with some projects with some of the notes, especially about, like trucks having to go through those alleys and, what a permanent installation would actually entail. Because I don't think that's quite planned out as well as we'd like it. So anyhow, motion on the table is to reduce the amount offered to $1,000.
I don't think she made a motion to begin with.
I thought she did.
Yes, she did.
Yeah, because we're discussing the motion.
Oh, so you're amending you're making an motion to amend the motion.
To amend the motion.
Yes.
Yep.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded to amend the motion to change it from 4,000 to 1,000. Is there any discussion? Parks Director Barnum.
Thank you. I also, I was going to suggest you could do it on a reimbursement basis for the lodging tax program, that grant program. Our grantees receive their funds on a reimbursement basis. So that was just a suggestion.
Councilmember Catchman.
Yeah, I would prefer, based on Director Barnum's suggestion, to have it be on a reimbursement basis, because my concern is if they receive 1,000 and we're requesting 4,000, can they still do the project? So I would prefer to see that if that goes through, that it would happen in that way.
In that case, I would actually like to rescind my current motion to amend and instead amend Katie's motion to make it on a reimbursement basis rather than a cash payout.
Second that.
Yeah, I'll second.
And now I'm confused. Are you amending it to 1,000 as a reimbursement or the 4,000 as a reimbursement?
4,000. So
I wouldn't agree, just because I don't want to deplete our funds that much.
there's a motion on the floor to amend it to be reimbursable. I'm not sure how that even works, but Parks Director Barnum knows that very well.
They would have to give us receipts and we'd reimburse them based off of the receipts rather than just writing them a blank check.
Is there any other discussion? Councilmember Ross, did you have your hand up?
Well, I was just going to say this $5,000 set aside for council projects. Did we have anything else planned for it?
It hasn't been used for a while. It's been sitting.
I know. So I would like to see it go to this project. I love Rain Glow, and I'm just so excited about how much bigger and better it's going to be this year. And I'd love to see this project happen. So
Rain Glow
I
was
would-
huge last.
It's gonna happen no matter what, but I'm just.
Well, I would like to see
They
us give
should go
them.
through the process, just like Founder's Day and the others.
I understand, but I also understand with COVID this year and a lot of people not knowing what was going to be able to happen. So I would like to see us give them up to the $4,000. Don't have a problem at all with reimbursement, but I'd like to see that go through. So that's just my opinion.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of the amendment that it be reimbursement, say aye.
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 Any opposed? The motion carries. So now the motion on the floor is that the amended motion is that we give them the city council awards Rain Glow $4,000. That's
Up to $4,000.
up to $4,000 reimbursable.
I have a question. Clarification from Stacy. When you say reimbursement, do you mean reimbursement out of the LTAC or just out of the city's funds?
It would be out of the bars number fund, I believe Katie provided at the beginning. Was it 004 or something along those lines?
Council projects 004.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just use the lodging tax as an example of how we give out that grant money. Is the groups have to provide us with receipts for the expenditures for their project, and then we reimburse them off of those receipts.
Oh, okay. Thanks for clarifying.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
Aye.
The motion carries. The ayes have it. Let's see. So is there any other council discussion? Councilmember Ellis.
Thank you, Mayor. This is now way past my normal bedtime, so hopefully I can still be somewhat coherent. With Castle being vacated later this week, and the people having no place to go other than city sidewalks in the downtown area, which it's not good for them. It's certainly not good for our downtown area. It's a really lousy situation all the way around. And had the county commissioners allowed the use of the funds that came to this community for an emergency shelter, we wouldn't be in this situation. People would have some place where they could go, at least during the day. Now we have nothing to offer our homeless population. We provide better service to homeless animals than we do our homeless people. And that's just not right. And I would encourage all of us and you, especially Mayor Shave, to lobby the county. I understand they've got some funding for some sort of shelter that's probably a year or more out, but we need something now, and we need something that we can get in place now that will be all ready to roll come winter time when the conditions are cold and desperate again. We all know that living in tents is not what we want for any of our residents. But at the very least, having a decent place to wash your hands and take a shower, use the bathroom, you know, we've got to come up with something that's more comprehensive and longer term. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a sad state of affairs, this whole issue. So, you know, I could sit here and ask the council right now, tonight, to authorize the city to spend another $600,000 to take care of the homeless here, if you want to. Councilmember Andrews.
Unfortunately, Councilwoman Ellis, those funds go to the county, and the county has time and time and time again turned us down. They've time and time again, they even turned back federal money. They got this huge amount of federal money and they turned it down. They sent the money back to this federal government because they didn't want to do anything. So we've been trying for the entire probably 8 years I've been on council. So good luck. I mean, really, the county's not going to do jack, even though they get the money. One day, hopefully we'll have a mayor that will stand up and take the money back from the county because of their inaction. But now we don't have that. I would like to talk to President Shaw. I'm going to suggest that sometime in the near future, we have another museum workshop so that the council can express their desires to make whether the museum needs to be a priority or not. Because as I expressed during the beginning of the meeting, the mayor has told them that they are not a priority to him. And we need to make sure we let the mayor know if it's a priority for us so that something happens with our museum and that it doesn't go to the wayside. So, but maybe Deanne, we could talk about it later. And
Yes,
talk to the
and we
museum.
certainly when we have those facilities discussions, that can be part of it. But it is, I would share my disappointment that initiatives the council has approved, the administration has declined to follow through on. And it's, you know, we've approved things that the museum has asked for, and they just keep getting told no, and it is disappointing. I agree.
So far,
we're going to lose a tremendous amount of knowledge base if they resign on us.
So far tonight, Councilmember Andrews has disapproved of spending $4,000 on a community activity and then approved of spending millions on a project we're not.
Mayor, I don't think we need to berate council members.
So that's where we're at right now with that. If the council wants to make a motion to spend money on issues right now, just bring it up. Go for it.
Point of order, Mayor. We need to, this is council comments, but also we don't take on people in discussion. So thank you.
Okay, is there any more council discussion? Councilmember Francie.
Is there any leverage that we can apply to the county to make them have a shelter?
Not that I'm aware of, not legally.
They get the funds from they get all of the funds for the homeless, and the city could take those funds to the city, but we would have to develop a housing department on our own. And in the past, we haven't been willing to do that.
And Council Member Francie, one of the things the Tassel Committee learned, we spoke to the State Department of Commerce about how that money is used, and we could perhaps, if we had, there might be a receptive lawmaker that we could get, a one-time exception to, rescind some of these requirements, but we're too small of a county. There's only 2 cities in the state that operate their own, that capture those monies on their own. It all goes to the county, and there's a lot of red tape involved that the county is actually very good at dealing with, but they decline to get down to the unsheltered homeless and deal with the unsheltered homeless in our county. And And that's it. So yes, we've burned a lot of calories trying to convince the commissioners. We've adopted resolutions. We have declined to, we've supported, we've asked that the needle exchange program be operated better, but instead, they just did away with it. And so now we've lost local control of that. And yet we've got all of these issues that, it's okay, I think, for people to be really, really upset at some of the filth in these camps and everything, but we don't have access to the resources to assist us because the county won't partner on it. They just want to, make it Aberdeen's fault, and it's not our fault. And we're like so many other cities in our state, but other cities, we have to find a way. I agree with Council Member Ellis that it's time maybe again to take a deep breath and look at, we still need to have, maybe we don't call it tassel, but we still need a committee working on homeless issues in our city. And so I'll be thinking on how we can keep going.
Thank you, Councilmember Shaw. Due to the hour, I'm going to end the council discussion comment period and move on to the next item, which is an executive session.
So Mayor Shave, I move that we recess into executive session for 30 minutes to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency matters relating to agency enforcement actions, or to discuss with legal counsel representing the agency litigation or potential litigation to which the agency, a governing body, or a member acting in an official capacity is or is likely to become a party when public knowledge regarding the discussion is likely to result in an adverse legal or financial consequence. No action is expected after our session.
So
Second.
Thank you. Motion been made and seconded to recess to executive session for 30 minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries. We'll recess for 30 minutes.
The meeting has now been extended to 11:05 with an additional 10 minutes added.
Waiting for two more. Oh, three more.
There's Margot.
Okay. Looking good. So is there any further business? I will say it is It's Mayor Shave, and it is 11:06 and our recess is over. And I call the meeting back to order. Who moves to reconvene?
So move.
I'll second.
Motion was made and seconded to reconvene. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We're reconvened.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Motion was made and seconded to adjourn. If there's no objection, we will adjourn.
No
Good
objection.
night.
Thank you. We are adjourned.
Have a good night, everybody.
You too.
Stay healthy.